So the cages are, they're right behind Smokey's, which I guess most people don't really know it's back behind that hallway where the bathrooms are. But if you keep walking through those double doors, you'll get to this like back hallway. And if you go down to the left, there is double doors that are closed and you have to have a card to get in, and it takes you to the loading dock. The cage itself is literally a chain link fence structure with about 30 or so cabinets inside of it that just have all of our history stored in there, except for swimming. I'm John Gollier. I am a student photographer for Vol Photos and also a manager for the swimming and diving team. To kind of tell the story of the swimming archives, it really should begin when I was still swimming. When I was a high schooler, we actually went to a meet called the Ray Bussard Invitational, which is something that is hosted every year in Knoxville. I remember reading on the back of a card that I got, because you get these little deck cards, and I remember reading on the back of it, it was like the story of Ray Bussard. It was really a cool story, I thought, that Tennessee had this coach that was really revolutionary in the sport at the time.
He really wasn't a swim coach when he came here. He was a football coach, he coached basketball, probably more of a track and field coach than anything, and the fact that he came up here originally interviewing for the track and field job that he didn't get, but they offered him the swim coach job. So he basically took his knowledge of other sports and became one of the greatest swim coaches in history.
You know, in the swimming and diving world, Ray Bussard is legendary. He was the swimming and diving head coach here from 1967 until his retirement in 1988.
He came just getting his foot in the door in college. I suppose for him it was very different not to have a track team. And I remember telling him that the swimming would just be running in the water. And he expected a lot. And they responded.
I would probably describe him as the Bobby Knight of swimming.
And there were times on the track that I begged to be struck by lightning. We were running in the rain. He was out screaming at other people. He wasn't even screaming at me, but I was hurting that bad from the workout. It was demoralizing to me to listen to him scream at somebody else. And I literally wanted to be struck by lightning. Everything was a competition. It could have been today, it could have been tomorrow, it could have been 30 minutes. Nothing was just taken for granted, ever.
My line was, you always knew you could make the travel squad when you could outswim a folding chair thrown by him in the middle of practice.
When things got off program, he could do some things that you'd be amazed at. Just like, I'm not watching this happen. You know, he got mad at a team meeting one time and took off running and ran through a door to make a point. He wanted people to get more excited, get more energized, get more passionate about everything. You know, the way he coached was, you're expected to do it that way in practice every day, all day. So when it comes time to race, you're just racing. You're just trying to compete. You're just trying to beat the guy next to you, and there's no doubt you're going to do things the way he wanted it done.
The archive collection is massive. It is unbelievably large, and I kind of spearheaded the project to really organize the physical side of it, as well as digitize. And it was a really interesting thing to me because I knew the program fairly well at the time, not as well as I do now, obviously, but I knew it, and I knew what it meant, and I knew how big of a deal it was at the time, and we had no pictures of him. And so for me, it really became it was like an emergency.
When we moved from the old pool right across the street to this pool, you know, a lot of stuff used to be kept, and you may or may not have heard of the area that we call the hole over there. It's a hot, steamy room, a place where you really don't want to be. But that's also where we stored a lot of our history. And there was cabinets and drawers and all sorts of stuff with, meet results going back to the very first one. And there was also pictures that I can remember just going through. I was kind of into that. We had a lot of the old videos and films that Ray used to take, and he documented everything on some form of media. So a lot of that stuff was lost, which is really, really unfortunate.
I started looking for where I could find them. I was emailing Roland Julian, who was basically the publicist for the team. He worked for the News Sentinel. I was emailing photo services, and they didn't have a whole lot of our team at the time because they didn't start shooting meets until 1980. Then Roland Julian put me in contact with Mrs. Bussard, and I emailed Mrs. Bussard, and she offered for me to come over to her house. I walked into her house the first time, and it was just like a museum of Tennessee swimming. I mean, just literally wall to wall with pictures and trophies and everything you can possibly imagine. And so this kind of relationship started between the two of us of I would go over there a few times, I'd pick up stuff. I started the process of taking stuff that we didn't have and started preserving it. And at the same time, of preserving this history, really finding out more and more about everything that that program was about and is still about today.
It was a very interesting and exciting time when they won. They won 85 meets in a row.
I guess I don't know any better. I didn't know about losing. We never lost.
It's almost surreal. We almost expected to win. I think the neatest meet that we had was NC2As in '78. We got out to LA, to Long Beach on a Tuesday. The meet started on Thursday. We didn't show up to the pool for warm-up until Wednesday evening, Wednesday afternoon. And when we walked in, the place almost fell silent.
Moves again to the team members of the University of Tennessee, trying to become the first Southern school ever to win the NCAA Swimming and Diving Championship, and they can all but wrap it up right here.
We rolled in there, and the meet was over after the first day.
And it's John Newton. They're coming to the wall. It could be Skinner. It is not. It is Andy Cohn, the winner. Second place to Johnny Skinner of South Africa and Alabama. Third place to John Newton of Tennessee. The time 44.10.
Tennessee really has cinched the title now, I think, with their high placings in that event.
They got a total of 37 points in that event, and I think that just about wraps it up.
That was the meet that was over after the first day because we had 4 guys in the finals of the 50 freestyle, and back then you only had 6 people per final.
Robert Sells of Tennessee. Robert with a slightly extraterrestrial look, having shaved down for the meet. The same is true of his teammate in the next lane, Tom White, and of John Newton, another Tennessean. There is a 4th volunteer in the race, and that is the favorite, Andy Cohn. In fact, there are only 2 swimmers from other schools, Jim Fairbanks.
And we had 4 of the 6 in the final heat and 1 in the consos. Scored 54 points, which was at the time the most ever scored in an event. Meet was pretty much over, and we just literally just kept on rolling after that. Everybody that went to the meet scored, so it was an amazing trip. And of course, when we got back, we got to shave Coach's head, which was also fun.
The Vols decided to wait until they all got back to Knoxville to celebrate their winning of the NCAA Swimming Championship. They danced, threw each other into the pool, and then it was time for the main event, the peeling of Coach Bussard's head. And did they enjoy that?
I tell you, it's nothing like a big orange shave. It's what you call a big orange haircut, free of charge. It's what you call total commitment, or open your mouth when you should have had it shut.
He was a marketing machine with running through the tee, the coonskin caps, the timettes above timing, the bottle of water in the pool. In the swimming world, he was a marketing genius.
Nobody did what Coach Bussard did. Nobody sort of imbued old school football traditions, let's call it, in the sport of swimming.
Gosh, he was kind of like the Barnum and Bailey of swimming as well. He introduced the timettes. That was always a distraction, more for the other team, I guess, than anything. But he had the timettes here. Back in the early 70s and early 70s, they had the girls in the canoe holding the flag during the national anthem.
I think traditions like that, they build pride in the program. And so when the team members, whether it be the Vols or the Lady Vols, they talk about the coonskin. Oh, we got to get the coonskin cap and that type of thing. We've got to, we carry our bottle of water on the road with us, and we throw it, pour the water into the pool from our pool and stuff like that. And that gives them that is a little bit gimmicky, but it gives them the belief that they're going to, swim a little better in our own water because our own water's in there. And for the pride of the program, they don't want to let that down.
The traditions he instilled in everyone and for the team kind of helped them bond, helped them succeed. And not only succeed in their swim career, but succeed in life. AAA bar none will get you anywhere. So it's pretty cool.
Ray, you may be the 7th team to ever win the National Collegiate Championship. I know you worked a long time with recruiting and etc. to get to this point. What are your feelings right at this point?
It's just a tremendous thrill. It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing for a coach to come into a national title and have a chance of winning. And it's the first time that we've arrived here, Mark, on equal grounds.
My father always told me, if I'm going to let you go somewhere to college, I want to know who that coach is. I want to know what his character is and what his personality is, because he's taking my son to the next step of life. He taught you so much more than swimming, and that was the beauty of Coach.
Well, I had what I would consider a great foundation from my parents on never quitting, never giving up. Coach Bussard put you into circumstances where you wanted to do that, just to see how hard you need to push yourself. And there were times where we were at each other's throats. There were times that I wanted to quit, not just at practice, but that I thought about leaving the sport. And he, found a way to reel me back in, and he supports him back to the end of the world. He was a leader and innovator in training. Got phenomenal results when people didn't think that he probably could or would. He just let the results speak for themselves.
I would just hope that he is remembered as being an inspiring individual. They seem to enjoy coming back and telling him that they appreciate all of this and that and the other, which you'd think, well, they would be long gone by now.
We all get better by learning our past and what happened in the past and building on that. And Ray Bussard was foundational to the sport of swimming in creating things. And while things have changed, and even methodologies have changed that Ray used, you can still reach back and see, things that he's done.
All the stuff that they saved and they thought was important, or we all thought was important, was getting lost. That was, of course, disappointing. But now that people are kind of seeing that history is important and you want to get that back, that's a really awesome thing that this generation now is kind of wanting to look back.
Coach Bussard had really a profound impact on the sport, and in reality, I don't think that swimming is the same after him, and I don't think that Tennessee swimming would be anywhere close to where it is today without him. He had a motto: anyone, anytime, anywhere, bar none. The other part of it as well is to tell a story. I mean, that was, kind of the secondary part that I quickly figured out is there's so much cool stuff that has happened in the past, especially in swimming, that, now we're bringing out and we're kind of looking at and we're like, those barefoot boys were really cool. And there's a lot of stories there that we can see through the pictures. I want to finish swimming's entire archiving. I want to completely finish it by the time I leave here and be done with it. And show, whoever that, our archives are in danger, and we value history here, and we need to do something about it, or we're not going to have this history much longer.